Rightio.
Just get your mic up and sing it in.
Count me up. Sing me in.
I'm blue, daboo dee daboo die, daboo dee daboo die, daboo dee.
Hello and welcome to the Last Chance podcast. You got to keep singing. You got to sing me
Daboo
in.
dee daboo die, daboo dee daboo die, daboo dee daboo die.
Today we are joined by the legendary figures behind
something
Johnson
other
Street.
words.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm good. So,
Hello.
Jack, Bill, for those that don't know, of
The
Johnson
legendary
Street.
Golding brothers.
The legendary Golding brothers. Yeah, how we doing?
Man, fucking good. I don't think anybody knows a single other word to that song than I'm blue. Daboo dee
Blue
daboo
is a
da.
house with a blue,
Blue
window.
little window and a blue Corvette. And a bunch of other shit that's blue. Yeah, that's all I
Yeah,
know
there
about
was
that song.
didn't it have like the film could have like a dancing alien or something. in it?
Yeah,
right.
with
And
big foot.
All I remember about
yeah, it reminds me of me.
all I remember
Big
about the
forehead.
'90s and fucking Rage in particular in that period was all just aliens and really trippy videos.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the one. I can't even remember the name of the band. The Massive Attack one with all the alien children in it.
Yeah,
I think it was Massive Attack, and they were like,
I remember that, and I remember maybe it wasn't the '90s, but do you remember the video for Yellow where it's the dude who's walking down the beach? That was like a huge early childhood.
Coldplay.
reference.
Coldplay.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm not talking about their other songs. I don't know any other songs.
I actually, is it Coldplay that did Yellow, or wasn't there a Scottish band? Was that them?
I don't know.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
it's Coldplay.
It is Coldplay?
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's all I know. Well, I thought, trying to think of some other band name like Fergus or something like that.
Yeah.
I have
All
no
good
idea.
songs are about colors. There's no other material to make songs about.
Yeah, Back
Blue.
in Black.
Yellow,
Yeah.
Back in Black.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other coloured related songs. No, fuck, nothing. Nothing. So, how would you describe the Johnson Street, the Golding brothers? What's the story? Because a lot of people will be like, a lot of people will know you, but a lot of people will be very confused.
You want to take it away?
Yeah,
Right.
so the full story is that I moved over to Melbourne 7 years ago, and I went to King Giz first weekend at Croxton. I hadn't really gone to live music before. I think before that, my first band I saw was Regurgitator at ANU Bar in Canberra. Then I saw Metallica, the Deaf Magnetic Tour in Perth, and I think that was it until I moved here, and then I was really into Nonagon Infinity, and that was the Nonagon Infinity Tour, and then I was like, that's fucking awesome. I moved over here for work, and then I went and saw Friends of Rom, and Cosmic Kuna supported Friends of Rom at Max Watts, or it would have been Max Watts. And then I was like, this is fucking awesome. And I messaged them and I was like, where are you playing? And what do you call it? Didn't really get back to me or whatever, but followed them on Facebook and all that. And then the next place they played was here.
A last chance.
Yep. So first indie bar I went to here was Last Chance after
Croxton
public
and Max
bar
Watts,
days.
yeah.
Yep.
Jesus.
And then, I didn't know anyone when I moved over to Melbourne. Bill came over, I think, 2 weeks
2 weeks
after I
later.
moved her.
Oh, really?
Yep.
It was that
Yeah.
close? I thought it was a bit longer.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
the thing is that I was at work and I
Yep.
said to Bill had just graduated from TAFE, and I said, come over. You've been 6 months trying to find a job in Perth.
9 fucking months.
9 months.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
graduated. It was when all the mines closed in WA. So
Yeah, right.
all the mines closed and all the experienced guys came back and just took all the entry level jobs from all the graduates. So like youth unemployment was the highest it had ever been in all of Australia. I think forever since then.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they just came out and just destroyed all of the jobs for the youth. So I've been looking for a job for 9 months. And yeah, at that point, Jack had moved here and he was
You were
like,
just like-
hey, you got no commitments. You should come over and just try it. And yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I
and
did.
the thing was, if you get a job, what do you call it? You can pay back for rent. If not, what do you call it? It's all good. And yeah, that was real fucking awesome about Bill is like, I was going out and being like, fuck, last chance. Like, it's friggin' awesome. They just meet bands, buy them a jug. When everyone's your friend if you buy them a
That's
jug.
right. Yeah. Beer
And-
talks. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll just go see bands that I like, and then if I like to support band, I'll just go buy them a jug and hang out with them. And
right.
it took a couple of months. Bill was fucking awesome when he started working. I would tell him, come out, and he'd be like, no, I'm going to sit at home, play video games till I've paid you back your rent. And what do you call it? Once you did that, then Bill started coming out, and then I met the owner of Beat Magazine at the Tote, and I said, I really love these bands. What can I do to support them? And he said, get a camera and just take photos of them. And in the end, Bill got a camera, and we made a little Facebook page. We had mates that ran a app called Hip Flask in Perth, and my idea was to be the Melbourne Hip Flask. It was like one of those bands in town type of apps. But yeah, we just did our own thing.
Yeah, right. Because in essence, like Johnston Street it's a well, even the name suggests it's music centric, but it is all about supporting bands.
There's 100% the deal from the go. Like,
Yeah.
where the missing part to this is like when we'd go to gigs all the time, we met so many people all the time. They'd always be asking Jack in particular what gigs are on, what bands are playing, who should I go see. So we got asked that question so much, we just put the list together. And that was like the first thing we started doing is like, here's the bands that we really like. Here's the places they're playing at. You should go see them. And just having all of that in one place is something that not a lot of people were doing at the time.
Yeah.
And now the people that are doing it are like way better than we've ever did it.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
so in essence, like Cosmic Kahuna were kind of like your introduction to like local smaller bands. That was where it started. So there was no real, it was like Metallica and Regurgitator before that.
I was really into stoner rock.
Yep.
And Dave's my cousin who books Bendigo Hotel.
Yep.
Or second cousin, whatever. I would go to a couple of stoner rock shows, and the crowds aren't super exciting. So I would just get into the punk stuff because I just like bouncing around, especially when Toad Upstairs was, before they renovated it, when it was tiny, you could see some real fucking awesome hardcore shows up there, and just a beautiful release of energy.
Right.
For punk, I was never really into garage music, but punk, I was Tony Hawk's. I remember talking to people at the Tote, and they'd talk about Misfits and Dancing and all of that, and I'm like, and Black Flag, and I'm like, I never really, I don't know who Dancing is. Sorry, and I felt like, fuck, I'm an outsider here. But
Well, it's interesting that part, isn't it? Because I even similar. Like I grew up in a small town. Finding those local outside influences for me was hard. Like I was back in the day where you had to, like we didn't have the internet, we didn't have any of that.
Yep.
You really had to track it down. Like you had to come to Melbourne to find anything. And when I was lucky, I kind of like snagged onto a couple of people that really exposed me beyond those bigger bands that were around to the local scene.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of like feel a bit stupid when you come in and people start talking about all these bands and you go, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, because there is like literally thousands and thousands of bands in the world and everyone has an influence. But it's kind of a thing about, I suppose that's why people call it a scene, like I really hate people being exclusive, like excluding you because, oh shit, you've got the wrong patch on. Like, I don't get that part of it. But I think you guys have kind of like, with Johnston Street, you've just thrown that out the window and went, it doesn't matter who you are or what you do.
Yeah.
This is just good music. Just go listen to it. You don't have to know everything.
Doesn't even have to be good music, just good vibe.
It's Melbourne. It's never good.
It's had a
music.
lot of very average bands, but had a lot of good nights at average bands.
Well, that's an important part of it as well. Like, not everyone's going to be a fucking superstar. Like, they're not. But it doesn't mean you're going to have a shit time. And it doesn't mean it's necessarily bad either. Like, it's just
Yeah, it's having good times with good friends, and that's something that like a lot of people take for granted, especially like the people we haven't known so long.
Yeah.
Who didn't know us when we first moved over here. Is everybody thinks that like we're either born and raised in Melbourne and like ingrained. Like people would say to us all the time, "It's like, oh, it's easy for you guys to make friends. Like you were born here. You've like
but
know you with someone." It's like, no, we didn't know anybody.
Bizarre.
But it kind of sounds like, because I met you when, like, that first year we had the last chance, I met yourself. And I really thought you'd been around for years because your knowledge base of local bands was even beyond mine. And I'm like, mine's pretty good. But yours was like encyclopedic, and you knew good bands. Like you've got obviously have an ear for it. I don't know, that must just be a natural thing. Is it just going, oh, that's a good band? Yeah.
It's bizarre because growing up, I listened to industrial music in high school, and I was on Soulseek and LimeWire and all that at the time, and listening to bands probably that would play at these capacity venues, but in Germany or Eastern Europe and things like that. And it's just my social life. I came over here, didn't know anyone, and lived in the city, and I got to have something to do, so came out.
It's amazing. It really is. And I really honestly didn't realise you moved together that close.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I didn't meet you for a year or so later.
Well, like Jack said, the main thing when I moved over, because I started studying originally because I wanted to come over here and just do something. I didn't want to just be... I'd already wanted to work for like 9 months, couldn't find a job. So I started at RMIT doing IT again. And I just finished studying IT, and the whole first year was just going to be stuff I'd already done. So I was like, this is garbage. Quit that. I was like, I'll try and find a job here. And after looking for a job for 9 months in Perth, I found one in like 2 weeks in Melbourne. I was like, oh my God, I guess I'm staying here then.
Scary, isn't it?
Yeah. And I just didn't come out till I paid off Jack. That was like that was a number one thing for me. Like I couldn't justify, I was earning fuck all. I couldn't justify spending anything till I'd like cleared all my debts.
I can't get over it. Like, I'm just like, oh, okay. Because it's a great reason, like, to think that it kind of started as just to meet people. And then, like, it morphed into supporting bands. And then it morphed into, like, so much more. Like, your photography turned into a whole art exhibition. You chased bands all around Europe, which was pretty cool. Because was that pre-pandemic or post-pandemic?
Post-pandemic. So it was like this, pretty much to the date last year was when I flew to London.
Right. And then, so that's like 6 years after moving to Melbourne.
Yep.
And then you took off on a 6-month trip.
Yep.
Chasing bands.
Do you know the stats on it? Like, do you know how many bands you saw or like what days you did anything?
If you were to talk numbers about us, it's 2019, I went to 224 shows, I think, in the year, and I know people have done more.
I'm not meant to swear, but fuck. 224 shows in a year.
Yeah. It was funny during when the lockdowns first happened. I was like, oh, I don't feel tired anymore. But when you don't go out five nights a week,
yeah. Well, I think that's the important part about fucking the music scene as well. Like, I know a couple of people that go to 5 or 6 gigs a week, and I'm like, where the fuck do you get the energy? Like, it's a big commitment.
Yeah,
224 shows. And if you go into 2 on Saturday and 2 on a Friday, or 2 on a Saturday, 2 on a Sunday, it's still that's your whole weekend.
Yeah.
Like, if you're working Monday to Friday, that's 7 days a week full time.
Yeah. Yep. Especially when it was like before the lockdown, when they'd have like when Melbourne was really thriving. It's gotten really kicking up again and really getting good again now. But when it was like really thriving, if you wanted to see like, oh, there's this band that I've been waiting to see for ages and they're playing on this day, that's going to clash with 3 other bands. So you're going to 3 gigs.
The
and
Melbourne
we did
clash,
that all the freaking time. Like, I don't know what our record of number for like going to shows in a week is, but it's got to be at least like in terms of bands I've seen. Like, without going to a festival or all-day thing, it's got to be at least like 20, 30 bands I've seen in like 1 week. Not like different shows and stuff, but watching like whole sets at different places.
I think it's more than that, because like that February that year, I saw 33 gigs in 28 days.
No shit.
Yeah.
And then nothing.
Well, I've had nothing. Well, during COVID,
Yeah.
but in March I was still hanging on.
Arch is still kicking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, again, you talk about support and what you do just by like the photography and just even like exposing bands to different people. Like, I think I'd heard of Horace Bones, and then I hadn't seen them, and then I spoke to yourself, and you were just like, boom,
This is the truth,
You've got to see this
Yeah.
band. And I think we had them booked here for like a month later, and it was like the first time I saw them. I'd
Yep.
heard this, like we had on the playlist, and I heard them. I thought they're very good, like excellent songwriters. And then they played, and I was just like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
Like, this is one of those bands where you just go, So, but you kind of exposed it to me, where you were like, "Oh, if you got to go see a show, go watch Horace Bones."
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's those sort of things where it's like, you just do the word of mouth, which is probably the best thing for local bands is word of mouth, where someone goes, "Hey, you've got to go watch his fucking band."
Yeah. I think especially doing it over social media in the ways we've done is really important because
Yeah.
when we were like just starting to go to shows, like with meeting Cosmic Unit, for example, like Jack had to look up that gig on the internet to find out it was on.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people were doing that. And there's heaps of people who would come to shows but
Yeah.
don't know where to go. And that was like the main feedback we always got is like I'd put on like local music playlists at work all the time and like play all the bands that I listen to. And everybody like, these bands are so good. Like, where do you find them? I was like, by going to this show. And it's like, I wish there was a place to find that. And that's
Yeah.
the whole reason we started being able to post stuff online is because heaps of people sitting at home who would come to these shows but just don't know where
Don't
to
know
go.
about it. So well, the technology aspect of it is something I find fascinating that you guys do as well, because you're obviously very good on the technology side.
And we're both IT professionals.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what do you think the future is for local music and technology? Where are we heading?
I think that there needs to be, I don't know whether it's going to be like government funded or someone's going to make a business out of it. I reckon it'll probably be that. But somebody is going to make a way better than we've done kind of stuff like this before with like our Hottest 100 thing we did.
Yeah,
but
the Johnston Street Hottest 100
Yeah.
that always happened
yeah,
on Victoria Street.
yeah. It was. I remember we
was great.
wanted
We
to
loved it.
we wanted to do it one year on Johnston Street, but it was like, that thing kind of like fizzled out a bit, I guess. But someone's going to make like a website that just has like a really proper database. Like, I think there's one that's for metal
somebody's
called like
made one.
there's one called like Encyclopedia Metallum or something. That's
That's the metal one.
yeah, the
That is
super
great.
comprehensive metal
Yeah.
one. Yeah. So somebody is going to do the same thing, but it'll be like really comprehensive in the sense that it'll have like, here's links to where you can get all their music forever.
Yeah.
Here's a bio of the band. Here's photos of them. Here's like some, stories about them and stuff like that. And I think like there's a lot of people who take photos and do like cataloging of live music, but somebody's going to make like the be all end all one. And then that's the thing
That's
that we'll
it.
use forever.
Yeah. Because, even from our end as a venue, we look at technology and we probably like don't fully grasp what it can do for us. Like social media and stuff, but in essence that's marketing, But there's something there for us that we can use to expose local bands to a wider audience. Like traditionally it was radio.
Yeah.
Like that's how you did it. And, the only people that do that are local radios, like local radio stations, community radio, whether it's, PBS, Triple R, whoever, like Sin, like they're everywhere. But that in a traditional sense, but to try and put that over into, what do you call it, like the internet age? I think we're well beyond that, aren't we?
Yeah.
But to use that properly to expose bands, there has to be something. And like I'm always fascinated to go people that are in the industry because I've got to know nothing about computers. I can barely use my phone.
Bill said, the curation's
Yeah.
important and having that big database of everything. But when I think of what we did with Johnston Street with a gig guide, but people don't want to know everything it was always a struggle for me running a gig guide and doing my gigs of a month and things like that I don't want to say everything that's on because we've already got Beat's gig guide for that. Beat will tell you everything. That's on because they've got the feeds in from and the relationships with the venue owners. While the curation was an important thing for me, you don't want to. I don't. If you ask me what's on the weekend, you don't want me to give you 100 things. You want me to tell you this is have to see. Your Horace Bones, you have to see.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that to get bands out there, curation's really important to build a brand identity or an identity that people can get behind, and the way that and the best people I see doing that at the moment would be labels like Anti-Fade Records and Split, or not Splits, Legless. Yep, Aaron.
Yeah.
And is that curate is when you've got people that have a massive amount of support, and anything they put out, people will get behind. I think personally that's the way that you get things out there. Is you just present yourself as an interesting person, and then associate your imagery with things you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, they're two of the great examples as well, especially like Anti-Fade's been going for so long, and I can't think of one dud thing that they've released.
No.
Everything that they've released, like, it's just
Billy's so great.
Billy's just it is fantastic music. Like, and you wanna listen to it. So from the very beginning, like from Anti-Fade 001 right through to, I don't know what they're up to now, but it'd be up there. Amazing. Like, and those bands, even the ones that aren't still going, the ones at the beginning, they're fucking fantastic. Like, I'd love to see those bands again, but you can listen to them.
That would be
that documentation and curation is, like you said, it's super important because you're preserving history.
So what I think about as well, because I'm an AV project manager. Yeah. That's like the thing I was doing last year. I got made redundant a couple weeks ago for people who don't know. So I'm like, I'm ready to be hired if anyone's recruiting out there. But I'm doing like an interview next week, so I'll probably get a new job next week. But doing AV, one thing I think about all the time is I'm like,
audio visual, not adult video.
Yeah.
So I had to do that.
It can be the same thing, can't it?
Actually,
it involves a bit of both.
Really, really funny story. I was sick at home, and me and my ex-girlfriend were in the house at the time. She's like, "You're really sick. You got to get a doctor to come see you, get a prescription for something." And this doctor comes over, and he's a Japanese dude, and he doesn't speak English like super well, but great doctor, great guy. And we're just doing the small talk. He's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I'm in AV," and he's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm an AV manager." He's like, "Really?" And my ex-girlfriend's sitting next to me, and he keeps like, "Look at you." He's like, "You work like really hard, yeah?" I'm like, "Yeah, I work like pretty hard." He's like, "So do you have like insurance for that?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like medical, like they take care of you. And I was like, "Yeah, like if you fall over and hurt yourself." I was like, it hasn't happened yet. And he goes like, "Really? And you work that hard and you've never had anything happen?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Wow."
Nice.
Yeah. And then it was only like after her like dying of laughing and he left, she's like, "Dude, he thought you were a porn star." Yeah, right. And like a very high level one.
Yeah. Because you've got insurance. It's obviously, Jesus. Yeah, AV, audio, visual.
Yeah. But yeah, the reason I bring that up is doing all the live, I haven't done a lot of like live event stuff, but all of the like video conferencing and tech and screens and stuff I've set up. What I would love to be able to do is in a place like this, set up some type of rig that we could have like permanently that's out of the way and not going to get damaged, where we can just automate and make it really easy to film gigs and like get versions out. Because Max, for people who don't know, Max at a Santa, The Last Chance, he does a super good job of making live versions of a whole bunch of the bands that play here.
Yeah.
And I would love to if we got the money for it or like the system to do it safely. Because the problem is like you put something up like here and you see people hang off the roof and shit. Yeah. And you just can't risk it. Things will get broken.
That's something because we've obviously been working on for a long time. And, that we're about to start doing that. The biggest drawback is the cost involved.
Yeah.
There's obviously grants and stuff out there for it, but us being us and being as independent as we can be without taking, like, we don't want to take money away from bands.
Yeah.
And that's why we don't like grants, is because we think like we're a private business. We sell alcohol. we should be able to fund these things ourselves because in essence, we're the ones that will benefit most from, well, not most, but we benefit from doing these things.
Yeah.
You know, and we think that that grant money should go to bands anyway for things like touring and recording and things that, you know, are important for bands. But we do have a little system kind of in place, like even like doing this today in here is like, it's like a test run for trying to do those things because we just think there's all these great bands that don't get the exposure that they need. And we think if we can be that link to expose them, even if it's just to a couple of hundred different people, and just 3 of those people go, that's great.
Yeah.
Like you guys did and go, I really enjoyed this. I want to go watch it.
With what I'd say about that as well is from us doing videography or Bill doing videography is what people have always said to me. Like first time I met Eamon from the chats, he came up and said, oh, fuck, I watch your videos all the time.
Yeah.
And what people like about our videos is that it's shot on a handheld camera in the pit.
That's right.
Directional mic, right? Or
It's like a stereo mic, but yeah.
Yeah, just a mic you put on a
Yeah.
DLSR camera.
Yeah.
Mirrorless, but yeah.
Right.
How does it get technical and nerdy?
Get nerd out on the cameras, mate. That's
but
all
no,
right.
doing the video stuff, that was one of the main reasons I did it. And like, I've had a lot of good feedback in the photos. So I pretty much only do photos these days, but that's where I kind of see myself going. And one of the reasons that the whole reason I did videos in particular in the first place is a lot of people would be like, I know, especially if it's like a newer band that's supporting, they're like, I want to go see this band and I like the headline. I don't know anything about the rest of them.
Yeah.
Oh, what do the other bands sound like? And if they like really new, they can't find anything about them because, you know, getting a recording together is expensive.
You need to play shows.
Stuff. Yeah. And
get that money together. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what I would do is like at least film one song for every band and then put it on our YouTube channel. Yeah. And like the main example I think of when I talk about this is Pistol Peaches. Because they
great, weren't they?
Yeah, they took so long to get a recording out.
Yeah.
That when one of their first gigs, because we've known those girls for so long, great people.
Yeah.
I filmed one of their songs and put it on YouTube, and they got to share it around. So when you search Pistol Peaches, it pops up with that video. So that's how a lot of people. I'm not saying that a lot of people came to see them because of that video, but when they searched them, they're like, "Here is the band," and you can actually see them. And they'd see either like, especially when you're standing a bit far back and you see. It's a great gig. It sounds good. People are having fun. And it's like that's when people look at that, they go, "I want to see that show."
And I think you get that vibe a lot more when you're shooting from a handheld
thing.
But on scale and thinking about doing it at a venue would be a lot harder than that. And we can get into it a bit more, but the reason I shoot on a compact camera is I want to be right in the middle of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And like Bill's, how much? Like if you broke your camera at a gig, it would be well over 10 grand, right?
Yeah. Well, I walk it right. Not that I feel almost honestly uncomfortable saying how expensive all the shit I carry around is, but like, I carry around stuff worth a lot more than a lot of people's cars. That's sure.
That's the other part of it as well. Like, you know, like I love live footage, like just because there's more energy to it. You know, like most of my favorite film clips are all live based. They've got a bit more, you know, you can see the fucking sweat on them. You know, you can see the passion. But yeah, you don't realize when you to get something of quality to put out, it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
like, there's a lot of money involved in doing that, and even the process of going back afterwards and editing and making sure the sound's right. Everything gets huge. But I think that is for us, I think that is the next step. Like, you know, even if it's like you get a 3-minute song and you capture it right, I think that can make the difference for a band. Yeah, in the future. There's
so many photographers and videographers out there though as well that it could even be a case of if they get the exposure or, you know, the drink tickets or whatever to be able to perform. No, sorry, to be able to capture a performance. And a lot of them, just, you know, love doing it. And like for me, like I earn enough at work. I work hard enough to do that, and I never want to go shoot a band I don't want to see just because I'm earning $100 to shoot them.
Yeah.
I want to do whatever I want, and I want to shoot it the way that I want to. And if you want to use it, fine. If you don't want to use it, who cares?
Yeah. Passion's important because passion overrides common sense.
That's the way I'd approach it if I was in a venue. Is just you use your platform to get other people's work out there because there's so many people that are super excited to.
And I think that I again gets back to that bit where being wanting to have more people come into the scene is better for everyone. It's better for the bands. It's better for creativity. It's better for for us as venues. It's better for everyone. So I think that getting this music out to particularly younger people and exposing them to it is like what we should all be working towards as, I won't say industry, because it's different to what we do. I'd say as a community, it's important to do that and to share those experiences, which you guys do, and that's what you did with Johnson Street. So I think it's important that people get out there and do that as much as possible.
Yeah, I love that you have to find a balance between if you want to be like a professional and like not mocking any of the people who do a lot of more stuff for money and want to make like a career out of it than we do. Like more power to you.
Yeah.
Like absolutely go like work really hard and like make stuff that is great enough that you can sell it and do whatever you want to do. But like you have to find a balance between like there's a reason we're doing like in terms of taking photos, for example, there's a reason I'm not like at the AFL doing like photos for them or like at big events. And I'm doing music because I want to do music photography. And I don't really care. Like Jack, I'm in the same business as Jack. I do enough working that I don't really have to worry about the money side of this. So I approach it from the mentality.
You're a patron of the arts.
I really. It feels like it's dorky when you talk about all the lovey-dovey feely stuff of this, but like we do it because we freaking love it. We always have.
Which is I think important. Everyone can be a patron of the arts. You don't like when you talk about like particularly in this world, like everyone's a patron of the arts because you're supporting it. We don't get as much government funding as people think, and the bands definitely don't. So what they do get is like community patronage to fucking go out and do what they love doing.
I hate that stuff. Like people have said to, I think in Europe, someone said, "Oh, you're like a journalist," and I'm like, "I'm a dickhead with a camera."
Times,
the reason why I go out is because like it's fun, right? And it's dumb, and I get to meet a lot of good people. I'm not a
someone.
I'm not going to wank it up.
It's quid pro quo though. Like, you know what I mean? It is quid pro quo. Like you go out and have a good time, but then you give them back.
Yeah.
You're a patron, Jack. You're a patron of the arts.
Subscribe to my
not
Patreon.
your patron.
Hey?
No, not your patron.
Yeah.
Someone said to me the other day, the problem with you is that you walk around like a guy with a camera instead of a photographer. And he's like, you should walk around like a photographer. And I was like, nah, being a guy with a camera is pretty great.
Yeah.
Like, especially, it's so funny when I like see some other professional photographers or just other people in general that walk around and like, oh, so like, what are you working on? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just really drunk. Like, just having a good time. I'm just like, dude, if I was getting paid for this, I would get fired so fucking much. You could not act the way that I acted, get away with it if I was working. But that being said,
yeah, well, that's fair though.
Yeah, but when I do stuff for money, my mentality is like so different because like if someone respects me enough to be like, hey, I want you to do this, and I'm like want to pay you for it because like someone I've known for a while, so I just want like this out of it. Like I really work super hard and like try like in terms of taking photos, I'll walk around to all the angles. I'll do photos and before and after the gig. And then when I send all of them, I give them all the different versions. Here's the unedited ones. Here's the ones I've edited. Here's all the different file types and stuff. So like when you do stuff for money, I think you just got to like deliver really cool stuff and like really work at it.
That's why I don't do anything for money.
Yeah.
So many times I've gotten tickets to shows or things and you rock up, all right, camera, out of batteries. I saw the band Thou, which is like New Orleans sludge scene, and in Berlin, and I really wanted to see them, and I procrastinated buying a ticket. It sold out. I sent them a message. I said, "Hey, I do photos. Here's some of my photos. I'd love to see you play, and I'll get you some photos." I think it was a 4-band lineup. I saw the first band and went outside and smoked weed with those guys. And then I was waiting for people to come out, but they don't do that in Europe. They don't go out to the smokers.
They don't go to the smokers.
Nah.
No smokers.
Well, and that venue
not
there,
right.
I can't recall the venue, but you could smoke inside the venue as well.
Yeah, no shit.
Yep.
Wow. That glory days.
Yeah, glory days. And I was waiting for people to come and, just at least measuring or trying to hear the PA system. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? And no one, they played and I missed them.
No shit. No photos. Free ticket.
Yeah, I bought a shirt.
We did,
Sorry, guys.
That's enough. Yeah,
Yep.
shirt. Yeah, and then just sent him a message going, got stoned. Sorry.
Yep.
No, you just don't even send a message. Just ghost them after
ghost
that.
them, yeah.
Speaking of ghost them, that exact scenario happened here with Swayze and the Ghost. Remember, we got they were sold out when they played here. And
That was their first show in Melbourne too.
Oh, yeah.
And we messaged them being like, "We'll do photos," or you did or something. And I don't remember if you went and didn't bring the camera. Like we brought the camera. And it's just out of battery as well. And it's just like, oh shit. And then just never talk to them afterwards. Never sort of phone. Sorry, guys.
Jesus, that was a long time ago. 2017?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to be A Swayze, then we ghosted them now.
Yeah, they're the ghosts. Yeah, because I always forget, because you forget how big that band is. Like, I always
Tony
forget.
Hawks.
That Tony
Mate,
Hawks thing.
yeah. Fucking
Man.
unreal, isn't it?
That's so cool.
And good for them. Like, fucking,
Yeah.
that is just one of those things where when you're like 13 and you go, you wouldn't think one day I'm going to have a song on
Tony Hawk's. That's one of the, like, in terms of bands and like people we're friends with having like achievements, there is like, my friends like toured Europe and they play like this. So it's like my friends on Tony Hawk's.
Tony Hawk.
That's fucking really, really
I
up
think
there.
Body Jar had one back in the
Yeah,
day
they
as
did.
well.
Yeah,
That's how I knew about Body Jar.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's just like fucking, because I remember when they came over and we hadn't been listening to them. I can't remember what happened, but then one of the Jakes, I can't remember which one, was like, man, like this Ace Ways in the Ghost is going to be fucking huge.
Yeah.
And we're like, really? And they're like, no, like we don't know how we swung this, but we booked them. And they played and it was just, oh shit, like radio, got ya. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible
they
band.
rule.
Yeah.
I think even though they were from Tassie, is the main disadvantage, right? Because like they have to spend so much to travel and play all these different shows.
Are they still based in Tassie though? Or are they
I don't know.
I'm
know
not
about
sure.
these
I haven't
days.
played very much.
Yeah.
They play more in Tassie, I've seen recently. But
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
I
so
think.
definitely some of them have got to be there, right? I think the main guy, Andrew, is in Tassie, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I knew that a Tasmanian band playing as many shows as they were at the time, it's like if your mentality, like for all the bands listening, were like, oh, how do I like progress, how to get big? Like the common denominator of everyone we know who's done really well or like achieved their goals play so many shows.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with playing so many shows.
Yeah, it can kind of go one of two ways though. Like if you can play too many shows too close together,
Yeah.
which will kill your audience.
Yeah.
But
But
unless you're
having-
one of those bands, probably like them, that are just, they're going to pull in new people every single week.
Yeah. But it's they all had a period at least where they
But-
played heaps. They don't do that
Yeah,
anymore,
it's work
obviously.
ethic.
But yeah.
I think it's what you're
Yeah.
referring to as the work ethic to get out, get the knocks, and just to battle through them. Especially if you're really, really good, like they obviously are. They could battle through them. And, because you're going to have dud gigs. Everyone's going to have dud gigs, but no one shows up, the planets don't align. It's going to be raining. Like, weather has things to do with people rocking up. So you've got to just keep knocking at it and working. But even, like, I think the like some of the band's work ethic, I just sit back and go, shit, Amel and the Sniffers were a band that did that as well.
Yeah.
They just played. It didn't matter.
Yeah,
They were like,
Clans are obviously like I think the number one of that. I don't know what their stat was. It was like fucking literally 500 gigs in a year.
yeah, I
It
would hate
was some,
to know
it was
how
some
many gigs they've played.
obscene amount that they did in 1 year.
Yeah.
It's been like 50. Or maybe.
No,
I don't know.
maybe
Old days.
500 is like crazy.
last
It was
year,
it
maybe.
was a lot.
Yeah.
It was like way more than they played once a week.
Yeah.
This was before we even moved to Melbourne. But
Yeah.
when I heard about that from Jake, I was like, that's so
Yeah, when they
crazy
first started,
expensive.
they were just knocking them out of the park.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then
I
yeah,
think the community makes it important, a lot easier to do that. That's the only
Yeah.
way I'd be able to do it.
Yeah.
And the only bands that I've gone and seen every show they've done is because they've got their mates that go, and we all just have so
good
much
time.
fucking fun
Yeah.
going every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I think, that's the other part of it as well, like the social aspect, of which, obviously what we started talking about, it's probably just as important as any other part of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not greater or lesser than. It's like an equal contributor.
Yeah. And the barrier to entry is, it seems like starting and meeting these people for the first time, it seems like it's this giant wall of
nothing.
like you can't get over. But
Just walk
really, it's as simple as like just saying hi.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to do, but like, especially if you go to enough shows and say hi to enough people, like you will meet all these people.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've met a lot of like pretentious-y kind of like more elitist type of art guys, but for the most part, anybody you walk up to, especially after a band's played, if you walk to them and say, hey man, that was a great show, and talk to them and say like,
Yeah.
thanks for playing, they'll be like, yeah, I'm really happy
Yeah.
that you came.
It's
Yeah.
They'll give you time
everybody
of day.
who comes across as abrasive, I would just assume is shy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's a
100%. Like
common thing
I'm not a big talker. Like I don't talk much. Like especially with people, I don't really know, or people I do know, I'm probably more quiet around because I don't feel much to say. But did you find that different when you did your Europe tour? What the crowds were like there? Were they
Yeah.
welcoming?
Yeah, I thought it would be a bit more like what it was like in Melbourne. But yeah, I guess there's a few lenses you could do it. So one thing that we've done is we had a house in Fitzroy North, and we brought heaps of bands down from Sydney, New South Wales, and Queensland sometimes. And they stayed with us, and that is like party.
Yeah.
People are on holidays, and my favourite shows in that 2019 year that I went out heaps were ones where people are coming from somewhere else, or we're going somewhere else to see a show, and it's a holiday, or everyone's so nervous, and there's all that energy, but then there's that release of everything's going to be all right.
Yeah.
People are super kind to us. There was a bit of that around in Europe, well, especially like traveling with bands. The bigger shows, it's harder to make those connections. If there were a handful of people I've met that are, now I'm sure lifelong friends, or the same way that it was in Melbourne. But I found it a bit harder to, just go up and chat to people and the smokers and things like that.
Yeah.
And the demographics were quite a bit different as well. So, like in Netherlands, for example, it was a lot older, straight-laced people. I guess it wasn't as wild as what it is down here.
Yeah, right. Some of the photos you took there look pretty fucking wild.
And
Especially with the Stiff Richard shows.
oh yeah.
They were
Those
some wild pictures. I don't know if that's just like every picture you see of them are wild, but that one where the roof seemed to be like,
The upside down one.
Yeah, that was in it was fun, even finding a venue. And there's so many different ways you could talk about it. But for that, I was staying in, where is it? Leipzig, which is like the capital of East Germany. And I had to get a train for an hour out to Halle, which is a small town, and then had to get a tram up to the venue was called whatever it was called. It's a secret venue, so
right.
it was 3 letters,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Where is it? There's no
KGB.
address. What's going on?"
FBI.
I couldn't find this, and then eventually because they're flat out. You're driving so much.
so much, yeah.
Yeah, and I've got it easy. I've got a 1 hour train.
Yeah.
They've got if they're going and playing somewhere like in Prague or something, I'm like, nah, I'll be right. I'll see you the next day. I could. They told me where the place was, and I got the tram up, and then had to walk around this zoo or something.
Around a zoo.
Yeah. And then there was this like farm in the zoo where an old quarry was. And it was like in a barn upstairs where the that photo was, which is their current Spotify
Banner
Banner.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think I've got a copy of it at home as well. I think they released a
from that-
poster
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
And I think for their homecoming show, they
Yep,
did
yep,
a poster.
I've got-
So
they're
every
printed.
time I go to the toilet, it is sitting. It sits above our toilet.
Yep.
Yeah,
Looking upside
looking
down. see what
upside down.
comes out.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but yeah, it sits above our toilet at home. Like we got it framed and put up because.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a crazy show. €1 beers there. They were warm though.
€1
What?
beers.
€1 beers. What's that? Bloody.
It was a DIY show.
Oh right, so
Yeah.
it's just. Well,
Yeah.
That
Jesus.
rules.
$1.50.
Well, that's the other thing as well. They don't like we're taxed to the shit house here with like
Yeah.
excise.
Yeah.
Like it makes life difficult to.
But they've got a lot better drinking culture over there.
100%.
Yeah. Maybe less fun, but
Yeah.
less-
Yeah,
less-
that's true. Yeah.
But the bands bring the energy. Like that's
That's
the thing.
the
when,
thing,
when
yeah.
people, especially like talking about that photo and all of like the crazy photos I've taken, it's so funny when like I do photos for a band or I send them like through and like when you do a band that's doing stuff like that, you got those really cool action shots and people are like, oh, why don't you have any photos of me doing stuff like that? I'm like,
because you don't do
you
it.
don't do it. I'm not saying you have to, but
yeah.
like don't be surprised like when you just stand in front of a microphone with a guitar, play and sing.
Yeah.
All the photos are going to be of that.
Yeah.
And all of the best like for my philosophy on my philosophy on taking photos is I would rather take a bad photo of something cool happening than a really excellent photo of nothing happening. And I've taken a lot
That's
of
a
both.
good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I try really hard to make both happen at the same time.
Yeah.
But like if I do a photo and like it's in motion, it's all blurry, but something really cool is
It's happening.
happening, then
Yeah.
that's the goer. I don't
Yeah.
care about like someone standing there basically all stationary.
Looking good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Fine. Yeah. I love music photography. It's just one of those things that especially when I can relate to it. Like if I look at something and hear it, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing. And I think that's because, I grew up in a time when, the magazines were everything and everything that was portrayed to you in live action,
Yeah.
like as a live band was, a lot of the first bands the bands that I love, the first time I had anything to do with them was when I saw them.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't when I heard them. It was when I looked at something and went,
Yeah. It's the same as like album art. Like people don't pay a lot of huge amount of album art, especially when there's releases that aren't even physical. But at the end of the day, like you see a bit of album art. And I've looked at so many different someone's like, hey, listen to this band, and then they send me a link or whatever, and I look at the album art and I'm like, no. So if people make the decision on that,
Yeah.
then people will make the decision on photos of them.
So that's how I got into like one of my early loves was Black Sabbath. Like when it comes to like metal, like they are the metal band.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't go into genres there. If it's metal, it's metal. There is nothing else. But they were the first big because I think it's Sabotage. But we had in the record collection, we had my parents had the weirdest record collection of all time. It went from that 60s Beatles, Brit Invasion right through to like the Clash, and then it kind of like went into new wave. Like they had a bit of everything, but there's a Black Sabbath album where on the front cover they're all on the front and they're in their tights and the leather jackets and everything. I think it's Sabotage, but then when you flip the record over, it's the back of them.
Yep.
So you see you just see their backs, and it's to me, I just looked at it and went. Like flipped it over and went, oh fuck, what is this? And then I put it on and I was just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like that's how I got into it. It was album art still. Like even if I go and flick through something, like a lot of the times I'll buy something just based on album art, not knowing what it is.
Yeah.
You get the biggest surprises. There was I can't remember if there was a band from Canada. I can't remember the name, whether their name was Turbo and the album was called Sailboats of White. Well, the name of the band was Sailboats of White, and the name of the album was Turbo. But I bought it based on the art, and it was just the most still like I've got the record at home, haven't listened to it for years, but it's one of the most fucked up albums I've ever listened to. It was just like fucking and Insanity. Like they were one of those Vice bands, like from the early 2000s that Vice just got onto, and I didn't know that until after the fact. But it was a record store called International Trash in Richmond, and they just had it there. It was just a single CD copy, and I looked at it. It's got a cat on it. It's like, oh, fuck, that looks awesome. It was just huge album for me. So artwork, photography, and those visuals.
I can't believe there's a cat. I was just imagining it with a sailboat.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember it because it's been. I lost the actual. So it's just I've actually just got the CD now. I've lost the actual artwork for it. Like I don't have the. Like it just sits in a clear case, so I can't remember it. So it's all
You haven't put
memory.
a photo of your cat over it. That's where you get confused.
Could have been. Yeah,
Man.
maybe she did. She belongs on an album artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone's gonna.
I really like as well with photos in particular and photos that are album art. Like I love the ones that aren't necessarily the greatest photos, but like they're just iconic. Like I think the Amel and Sniffers one, the giddy up with just Amy's boot.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like that's objectively, that's not a great or special photo. On that art as art, it's like that's iconic.
Yeah.
Great piece.
yeah.
So yeah, you
Yeah.
don't need like a super expensive camera or like any of the stuff that I do or have gone to a million shows to blah blah blah.
You
Like
just need that bit
the
of creativity,
presentation,
and
creativity.
things aligning. Like, because that's the when you look at that, particularly that, it's kind of representative of what the music sounds like. You know, it's a great thing to do as well. It's not like some outlandish Rembrandt painting.
Yeah, or some super like meticulous photo shoot of all of them standing in exactly the right position with all the right lighting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking, I don't know how you guys work out lighting. Like even sitting in here and I look around, I go, because when we did this last time, I was like, there is no way that's going to look any good because I'm sitting here. I'm in a venue.
Yeah.
It's got sticky carpet. It's 4 tables put together. We're standing around. And then I looked at it and I went, oh, fuck, that lighting works.
Gaz is great.
Yeah, thanks, Gaz.
Shout out to Gaz.
Yeah, how you doing,
off camera.
Gaz? Are we boring the glasses off you yet?
No, you guys are doing all right.
Are we? Are we entertaining?
mate.
Keeping you
Yeah,
entertained.
you keep me entertained all the time.
There we go.
So with lighting is, well, one thing's flash or no flash, and if you can shoot flash,
Oh,
it's
what do you
fucking
think?
easy.
Yeah, what do you reckon for like flash or no flash? Do you think it depends on the performance?
Well, you need. I feel
It's-
very it's full on. I wouldn't shoot flash
is.
without permission to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't give it like people. Well, it's only happened once in every show that I've shot where someone's complained about me taking photos.
Photos.
Yeah.
And that was Party Dozen in Leeds, and it was like the first time playing in Leeds,
Yeah.
I imagine, and everybody was standing 5 meters back from the stage, and I was just crouching around and whatever, but getting my angles, and I had all the freedom to do whatever. And then someone came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh, thanks for being in the way the whole time," and I was like,
Was it just a punter?
"Yeah." And then my mate said something I can't say on a podcast.
Would it be a 4 followed by an off by a 4?
Can't remember.
So it was something like
Yeah.
that, I imagine.
Yep.
You can say it like it just means more editing work for guys.
Yeah. Oh, I said a bunch already. Sorry
There,
about that.
there are a few
alright.
things we're
Wait,
saying.
boys, I ain't editing shit. This
Yeah, there you go. See, fuck it.
Yeah, it was shit.
Yeah, shit.
With like doing photos, I think etiquette's like pretty important, but you just you learn from doing stuff. Like
Yeah.
learn from just going a million times what's acceptable, not acceptable.
Yeah, if you
With
like,
Flash,
you
it's
know,
like, just don't. Like my thing that I'm not in a band, so I can't really complain about this. But if someone will like while I'm doing something, put the camera like right up in my face and then flash in my face, I probably
It would do that to you, Bill.
yeah.
I would-
There'd
I-
probably be a
I'd probably be
guitar
like-
coming at you.
Yeah, some retaliation
Yeah.
is coming your way.
Yeah.
The only so I think just do whatever you want, just be respectful and it's fine.
Yeah.
But I think my
I think
philosophy
it's
is
like any live music space. Be respectful, and I think yeah.
and just don't my thing is just as a photographer, just don't fucking put yourself over the people who are watching the show.
Yeah.
That's really important.
I think
And
that is incredibly as well.
and I've seen a lot of people like get amazing shots. And when someone sends me like photos of them, especially of gigs where I've seen this happen, is like actually so funny to me. Someone's like, look at how good this guy's angle is. It's like I was at that show. He was like climbing over people. But that being to do that, and like I would just never do that.
Yeah.
But that being said, like I wouldn't judge that person for it, especially on the day, because you don't know the situation. Like especially if like someone's working really hard doing all that invasive stuff to get a photos for a band. But if that band asked them to be there, it's like, oh, if they asked me, I would do the same thing if that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the situation they're going into. There's only one time I've ever seen something where I was like, I've never actually vocally complained to people about stuff like that. But one I saw, which was, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I was at Bendigo Hotel, and it was, I think then it was Nola. It was a Japanese band.
I remember them,
Yeah. Nola, great.
Yeah,
Great band.
great.
The photographer they had with him, Japanese dude, he had a flash that was on his camera. Nothing special about that. And there was not a huge amount of people. There was plenty of like room to go around. But what he had is he had a wireless receiver to another flash that was on the stage. Not unheard of as well. But this is like, we're talking stage behind me. I'm in the band facing the crowd. The flash is here behind the band, flashing directly into the audience.
Yeah, right.
And he would do that every 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, right.
Like
It's
flashing into
like a
the
strobe.
entire... That's... Yeah, it literally was like a strobe, and it's like to everybody who's there.
Yeah.
Because he's also standing in front of the band doing that too. And he got some really cool shots. Great fucking photographer. I still follow his page to this day.
Yeah.
Really great.
But a bit
like,
too much.
Dude,
Yeah.
you can't do that.
Nah, I reckon that's all right. Because what I was thinking, like, I was curious what the show was and if I was there, and I was there at that one. But the guy that was crowd killing that, no, it was a Monday
that
night.
guy was
They
the
just
I remember
played
that.
a support show, and this was their headline show on a Monday night. And that guy crowd killing was such a
Yeah.
shit.
Shit.
Yeah. That guy was
Ah.
terrible. I say it's in some bad moments. That was one of them. Do you remember?
Bendigo Hotel. Sorry, guys, but like, yeah, I think, I've seen a lot of triangle-shaped men. What do you call it? Pulverized people at the Bendigo Hotel.
Yeah,
Not fun
I think
for
it's
anyone.
more the bands than the venue. But I've seen that happen a bit there too. I remember at that same show. Do you remember old mate Lachlan Watts? Was in
Yeah,
the
he was
crowd
like
too.
that.
Yeah. He took it as his personal vendetta to get that guy halfway through the set. A lot of people it's funny going to so many gigs, you watch like the ecosystem of like these little like rules and etiquette that's never talked about. But when you watch
unspoken. Yeah.
when you see the whole like life cycle of that, dude comes in way too far, ruins everything for like everybody for a bit. Then what happens, and he generally doesn't do that again. At least not for a couple of months.
Yeah, it's like, I can't remember the last time we want to watch Coffin on Saturday night, and there was just like someone kept kicking out the power supply for
Abijah, guitarist.
No, Mossy's the other guitarist, and just kept kicking it out, and I was like, at the same point they're pushing the foldbacks in and knocking out the power.
Gasso sucks for that.
Yeah, it's a tough one because of the height of the stage.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, it's about that respect thing as well, because these guys were just fucking zero respect for the performance.
Yeah.
And so I in the end, it got to I didn't realize it was like the last song. And so I kind of was at the front, and I just kind of had to lean over and put my hand on the power supply to keep it on. And I think it's like that part of it where you're like, mate, you've been doing this he's trying to play a show. You're not going to add his power supply. It's quite obvious what you're doing because you're just standing right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you're not knowing that you're doing that, then you should be at the fucking back, not ruin it for the... Cause people were like, well, so they blow a speaker. And it's like, no, it was just some fucking idiot knocking out the... I think I was at a Drunk Mum show as well once. They had like an extension board. They had their power supplies in there for the guitar. And this fucking idiot leaning over, full beer, and just started pouring it. And I've went, oh fuck, this is where things just switch off.
Yeah.
So I've grabbed the beer and put it up and tried to mop it up because I was side of stage. And
Was he doing it intentionally?
No, he wasn't at the beginning. He was just like
I
leaving
think
over.
we're in a different
But
conversation.
Then I moved it and kind of went fucking, oi, like, whoop, sorry. And I went, look, there's a fucking power supply there. Then he started pouring it properly. And I can't remember who it was. I can't remember if it was Dingo or who it
Adam,
was.
Ding.
And the office, they kind of looked down and went, they didn't realize what I was doing. They thought I was fucking with their power supply. And then they saw him pouring it and they were just like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it's a situation that could get out of hand really fucking quick.
Yeah.
That's as much as we talk about our how much the camera costs. Like it's like Tom Cosmic Kahuna played here with his new amp. It was like 30 grand amp, and I just
Yeah.
so many like pains me
Yeah.
so much how many people have like lending gear and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
I'll never forget. We booked. I think it was actually for my exhibition at Old Bar. I got Tony Clay to play, and he just bought this new guitar. It was like one of the most beautiful guitars I've ever seen. And I was like,
know this guitar.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was talking about. I was like, man, it looks so cool. He's like, thanks. And he like told me how much it was. It was like $5,000 for the people that are out there. Wondering how much it was. It was like $5,000 guitar, and he's like, yeah, like $5,000 guitar, and then a couple $1,000 amp. All of his pedals worth like hundreds and stuff like that. And it's crazy how like something that a lot of people don't talk about enough. I think is when you see a local band with really good sound, they're not. It doesn't break every time, but they're risking crazy amounts
money.
to play for so little.
Yeah.
So that's why like the etiquette, at least.
Respect
Basic
there.
safety
Yeah.
is so freaking important,
Basic
man.
safety. Oh, H&S.
Like just like and then when the bar is don't pour a beer onto a freaking
Yeah.
power outlet.
It's
That's
pretty simple.
all I'm asking for, really.
Yeah. But, you know, like crazy shit happens.
Mm.
And, you know, like it does. But as long as people are aware within that space, like, you know, I think and we talk about safe spaces, which they should always be safe no matter what part it comes from, but particularly some more than others. But yeah, on the OH&S side as a venue owner, like I freak out. I go to other venues and I'll be like, you know, because we have projectors and stuff everywhere, and you know, when people are crowd surfing, go for it. But that awareness, like I don't know, we had our, you know, that projector sitting above my head. I don't know how many people have grabbed it.
Yeah.
You know, and there's other things like, you know, we've got all our, you know, if someone grabs one of those fire, what do you call them? Like,
EWIS system.
yeah, we're doomed. That's the end of the venue forever. Like, there's four levels of water that will keep running until we go and turn it off.
Yeah.
They'll keep running, and it'll just destroy.
That's why
The
like
worst story of that is that Cherry Bar one when
the drunk
on
mums one.
ACDC Lane.
Yeah, you've heard that one with the sewage line.
Yeah, they had like a septic.
Oh.
Yeah. Some like they were crowd surfing, someone pulled that
it
out.
out.
And just,
Yeah. And it's just like
Shit,
this
shit,
mist
shit.
of
Yeah.
just shit everywhere.
Yeah,
Just
I
polluted
forgot
the
that they
stuff.
had the sewage run above there.
Yeah. And yeah, if you ever heard the story, that happened like mid drunk mum said.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the funniest part of that story to me is like they played through and were like, this is terrible, like we have to leave. And they walked out and there was this giant line out the front of Cherry Bar. And so I was like, hey, what are you actually like waiting for? It's like, oh, some big DJs come to town. They're playing like the official kick-ons are here. And they're like, have fun with
Good
that.
luck.
And just like walked away. All right, wasn't my fault. I didn't do it. All right, we're wrapping
gonna
it
wrap
up,
it
I guess.
Well, there we go. We just got told to shut up. I don't know what we
Yeah.
talked about this whole time, but anyway.
Yeah.
Gig
So
stuff.
we'll do a wind up. Best part of being a part of Johnston Street. for each of you.
Spending time with my brother. Aww.
Is that an important part?
It's funny thinking about Bill and I were really close growing up, and then Bill moved away. Bill moved out to his share house, did his whole thing there, and it's been great to spend more time with us. And I think I definitely overappreciate or underappreciate. Yeah, how much I've been able to do with my siblings here, both Bill and to a lesser extent Sonny.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. But I would say the free tickets.
The free tickets.
Yeah, free beers.
Um,
Actually, real quick, like one of the things that with the whole Save the Tote campaign and everything about it, like our page was called Johnston Street because that is the strip that we did all of our live gig
Friendship
stuff on for
strip.
so long.
Friendship, yeah.
Made so many great friends, so many memories going up and down that street. And I would just hate for a phone to interrupt my conversation.
That's all right.
But
Sorry about that.
I
thought it was on silent.
I would just hate for that to be robbed of like all of the younger people and all the older people, everybody who has that. Everybody deserves the opportunity to have the same experience we did. There's no barrier to entry to it. We didn't know anybody when we came here, didn't know much about music, came here, had a great time, made friends that we'll know for the rest of our lives. Like everybody deserves that opportunity. And the tote's an integral part of that. That whole street should be preserved forever.
Yeah, there we go. It's from Johnston Street themselves.
Indeed.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, if you do want to check it out, I'm sure that the Johnston Street will be kicking on forever and a day, whether through photography or whatever Jack's up to next. Is there a Johnston Street in Perth?
No.
Damn it.
We didn't
They're
talk
actually-
about it, but it's pretty much an hour drive to every venue. And everything's so spread out in Perth.
Right.
And that's one big, to wrap up, there is nowhere from going all around Europe seeing bands. There is no hub for music I've seen even remotely close to that in North Melbourne.
Yeah. It's a pretty amazing
Yeah,
space.
not in London, not in Berlin, not in Barcelona, nowhere.
Hear that to wherever you are, politicians.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you to Bill and Jack. And thank you to Sonny, who is not here.
Yep.
Love you, Sonny.
Hi. This has been the Last Chance podcast. Make sure you tune in next week. Hit the like button and subscribe. I'm sure that Gaz is going to put it up because I would have fucked that up. But thank you very much. Thank you, Golding Brothers. Thank you, people watching.
See you at the
We'll
pub.
catch you soon.
Double D, double da, double D, double da.
That's good.
Cool.